Last week, we took a deep dive into healing, getting out of that old relationship and healing before you get into that new one. This week, we're going to be talking about the biggest mistakes that we all have seen people make in dating. Stick around.
Make me feel complete. Years older, you got me years older. Baby, you're all that I need. Now I can be what you mean to me. Boy, I know you need this.
And so we challenged each other to write 2 of the biggest mistakes and then bring it to this episode so we can discuss. I don't know her 2, and she doesn't know my 2. But let's dive into it so we can really peel back the layers and get to the bottom of this.
All right, let me dive into my life coach Jenni era, right? And this is coming off of just what I've seen on social media, what I've seen in my past relationships with my friends and their relationships and dating history. And the number one thing I think, especially at this big age, is not being intentional. You're going on 10, 20 dates and you still ain't asked simple questions. So you're progressing this relationship, not even knowing if you are truly compatible. You haven't talked about if you want kids. You haven't talked about if you want to live the soft life and not work anymore. You haven't discussed if you go 50-50 on the bills. But now you're 2, 3, 6 months into this relationship and you finally are starting to have that conversation. And now when you break up, you got to heal from it. When this could have been day one. Intentionality in dating is one of the biggest mistakes.
And I think the initial intention is for everybody to keep it light when they're dating, and also everybody keep it fun.
Yeah.
And when you do that, I understand that's the initial dating process, right? We do want to stay right there because you do want to see if there's some chemistry, right? We already know that they look kind of fly, we're attracted, but we want to see, can we catch a vibe with this person?
Listen.
But after that, and not too far after that, we can start asking the questions and be intentional on, can this even work, right? Because we don't have to waste anybody's time. We've had a good time. And I think a lot of the times people do not understand that either. Yeah. People want to run the car till the wheels fall off. Yeah. We had some good dates. Yeah. We had a good time. Yeah. But upon further conversation and intentional questioning, I actually decided this isn't a good fit for me. I'm going to check you later.
And it's all good. But here's my thing. I'm going to very funnily ask you over this glass of wine while we rolling this bowling ball down the lane. Did that kid make you want to play with other little kids? If I know I want a big family, I want 5 kids, and my biological clock is ticking in my brain, I don't got time to play with you. I don't got time to kick it and have fun, light conversations with you. We go lightly talk about what life is. It's a part of getting to know each other. And I think the fine line is making sure that it's not a drill. You're not like, all right, my first question is, how many kids would you like? Right. But can it come up? Can we see, a Little League on ESPN at the bar? And I say, oh my goodness, would you coach Little League?
That's right.
And you say, absolutely not. I can't stand kids. So you go back to that little checklist and say, maybe this ain't right. Instead of asking after you've fallen in love with each other's representative, and now you find that you're fundamentally not aligned in anything that you want, chemistry ain't got nothing on compatibility.
That's right. And that's also important because if you set the boundary of saying, in this dating process, I'm going to ask these questions and it's not going to take me long. Because if you take a long time, if those 10 dates turn into 10 months, because what happens next is you get comfortable and you get settled. Now you get comfortable in that person's space. Yep. Instead of going back to your boundaries and your standards of saying, you know what? I'm going to find out real early on if we have some compatibility here. So I think that's a real good one, baby.
All right, let me see what you got.
All right, cool. This one might throw you for a loop.
Oh, man.
But I've been taking a lot of time thinking of this. I think the entire idea of dating has set us up for the practice of divorce. It's a rinse and repeat, instant gratification. Okay? Because what does it tell you? You know what? Date whoever you want. Date as many times as you want. And guess what? Get all the feels from each and every person. Similar practices. So you get these highs and lows. Yeah. But you say, okay, this person is so dope. I'm having such a good time with them. And we're traveling here. We're going on dates here. Mm-hmm. We have so much in common. Yeah. But guess what happens next? 1 ounce of conflict and I'm out the door. I'm ready to leave. Yeah. And here's another level. This conflict actually had me look at an insecurity of myself. Mm-hmm. So now I really want to go.
Got to go.
Okay? And so we can do that rinse and repeat all the time. Mm-hmm. And then when you find the one that is special or that gives you a different feeling, we want to go further with that person. But we have practiced this rinse and repeat process of when challenge and conflict comes, it is time to go. So guess what happens in marriage? In marriage, you're going to face some real conflict. Yeah. You're going to face some real challenges that you have never, ever faced. And that natural body, mind, and spirit response is to bounce. Yeah. It's to leave. Yeah. And I think that is what has kind of happened with dating, where it's just everything is cool until it's not.
You know, and I also think that speaks to this world of social media and so many dating apps, and you know, you're trying to meet people in so many different so much access to a crazy amount of people, right? And I think it happens on 2 different levels. Either I could just get another person, right? Or you're like, dang, I have access to so many people, but I'm not making any connections. Mm. So you either are going to stay with that first connection for as long as possible, even though they exhibited signs that you should have been stopped talking to them, because it's the first connection you've made in a long time. Mm. Or you're going to run immediately because I know I can make me another connection today. Just post a selfie. So this world of just, instant gratification and the abundance of access to humans, right? It has us at a downfall.
Rinse and repeat is a problem.
For sure.
You got another one?
So yeah, I got a big one. And this one goes for every stage of dating, all the way through marriage. Expecting someone to change. Falling in love with the idea of this person. You guys went on a couple dates. They got their resume is good. They got a good job. They graduated. Maybe they don't have kids, or maybe they do have kids and that's what you wanted before you got into a relationship. They're clicking on all of the check boxes. And I keep telling y'all to get rid of that checklist. Get rid of the checklist, because the moment that on paper, they seem beautiful, they seem like the one, we go all in. Mm. And we are thinking, well, if they're so good on paper, I can deal with a little miscommunication. I could deal with a little distance here and there. I could deal with, he goes on work trips for 2 weeks at a time, and I feel a little lonely in that time, but he comes back and he's good on paper. Mm. You're falling in love with the idea of who you want that person to be, instead of thinking about who you know yourself to be. Mm. You went on 2-week vacations for work. Me and the kids coming too. Okay? So it's like this idea of we'll grow together, or if I could just get him to see this, or if I could just make him go to church more, or if I could just get him to stop working as much. No. You are killing everything that dating stands for. Finding out who that person is and who they can be to you, as is. So you go from being all in to being all out.
And that's good about expecting somebody to change, because so many times we have these uncommunicated expectations. And so if you go back to your first one, which I didn't even know you were going to come with, the intentionality of conversation and dating and peeling back those layers. Yes. What you're going to find out is you'll find out the potential of somebody, right? And you could find out where their character aligns, right? Mm-hmm. But in the intentionality of these questions and understanding each other through conflict, good times, challenging times. Now, there are no uncommunicated expectations. You know the levels and layers to this person, and you know that, guess what? Although there are variations of everything and everybody, you have a good understanding and a good ballpark of their character compass, their spiritual compass, all of these things, so that you can understand that if they just a little bit outside of it, you can live with that because you had those conversations. But what you said was they go and they fall in love a lot of the times with the idea of somebody because they created a fantasy before them and they're having the best time that they've had with them. And they still have this false fantasy and this expectation over here. And they have never communicated to him, or he has never communicated to her that, hey, can we have this conversation? Because this is something really important to me.
Yeah, and this goes back to healing. So you got to go back and watch the last episode. But if you're going into a relationship with a checklist, that checklist didn't come out of nowhere. That checklist came from all of your past relationships. You like, all right, I don't like nobody who wear Red Wings hats because the last man wear a Red Wings hat, he played too much, or I gotta have somebody who, is making more money than me because the last brokey was wearing me down. I was there for all the dates. So you're bringing past trauma into this new relationship. And that's why I say so often, get rid of that checklist. But when you know yourself, it's a beautiful thing. You know exactly what you could tolerate, what you will absolutely not tolerate, what will fulfill you and make you feel whole, and what will be an addition to your life, your lifestyle, and who you want to become in the future. And if that person isn't on that spectrum, what we doing? What are we doing?
Man.
Wasting time.
Man. And I check my watch, and I ain't got no time to waste.
None. So, babe, what's the final one?
Okay. I really simplified this for you.
Okay.
There's only two perspectives here. When you go into a relationship, I need to just understand, what is your perspective on partnership? And we have two options. Either you will find any reason to stay, or you will find any reason to leave. And so, if I start right there in the intentional conversation of what is your perspective on partnership, and understand that if we decide to enter into a partnership, that we've made a commitment to each other, a loyal commitment that I'm rocking with you and you rocking with me. And that, guess what? No matter what, because we made this bond and this trust, we are going to stick to it. And you have my commitment that I will continue to give you my best effort in showing up and showing out to this relationship because it matters that much to me.
I think that you just said so much. And I think that when we talk about loyalty and trust and commitment, these are words that do not come up too early in dating.
That's right.
These are things that you should be starting these people at 0 with. Let them build their way to 100. You don't know this person.
That's right.
You haven't been through a conflict with this person. You don't know enough in order to give them 100% of your loyalty, trust, and commitment.
That's right.
So to even get to this space, you got to have those intentional conversations, right? You can't be thinking about how to get out every 2 seconds. You can't be looking at this checklist that you got from your past relationships. And you really need to focus on asking the right questions and building together.
That's right.
And so when you said that, I was like, ooh, this is
That's right.
am I in or am I out?
Yeah.
But I think that that's a really good, easy question in the beginning.
That's right.
What do you do if, in the event that conflict arises?
That's right.
Are you quick to cut your losses? Or are you the type of person to work through it?
Yeah. And what's your perspective on marriage? Do you believe it's a partnership? Because I believe that a lot of people enter into marriages thinking that they can exit and they'll find the easy way out. Now, that intentional questioning can give it to you. And like you said, we don't enter into the partnership there. But now we're able to see the progression and the character of that person to say, okay, I believe that they have adopted the same values as me as it relates to a bond and partnership in marriage. And I think I can trust this because guess what? Through conflict and challenging times, I have seen that he still speaks soft to me. He still controls his tone. And me and him have been able to get back to a place of consistency.
And remember, in the beginning, you're still dating that representative. So if you're asking the right questions, that representative who's supposed to be their best self is answering.
That's right.
Meaning if you say, you know, what's your views on a partnership in marriage? And they say, ooh, you talking about 50-50? Well, I was not, but now that you brought it up. Let's talk about it. You will know very early on if value systems are even in alignment. Okay? So if you're talking about a partnership and they go straight to thinking finances, you learn a lot about who you're dealing with. So don't miss those cues, them social cues, right? Especially in the representative stage, because that's their best self coming up and saying, I don't do 50-50. If I see something, I got to get up out of there. I'm running.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for your application. I'm going to be putting the filler back out there for more applicants. Okay.
So let's bring it full circle. Yeah. We are going to make sure we are healed before we get into that next relationship, which we deserve and we are worthy to have. Yes. There's a couple things that we're going to look at first. We are going to be intentional about our dating and that process that we are going through. And then next, we're going to flip the script on what dating has become. We are not practicing for divorce anymore. We are actually going to be very self-aware and very confident approaching the dating process so that we are interviewing for marriage.
And then 3, we have to make sure that we are not falling in love with the idea of someone. And we're fully focused on who they actually are. And lastly, we got to understand what their perspective on partnership is. Marriage is a partnership. Marriage is a unit. You come together as one with both individuals working hard to be the best individuals so that the collective can elevate. So, knowing their idea of partnership very early on can save you a world of hurt.
And will it be easy for them to leave, or will they work hard to stay?
Yeah, on that note, let's toast. We've been out the dating game for a long time. But the perspectives from singles that we have met and us just continuing to do our research and talk to our single friends, it has become increasingly important that we catch y'all before y'all get into a terrible relationship. The process of finding love is finding love within yourself, and it is also knowing how to make sure love will be reciprocated with your partner. So these episodes are to give you perspective and get you one step closer to finding love.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We are finally here at season 2, and we could not have done it without any of you.
We're talking all stages of relationships, from dating to courting to marriage to reaching that forever status.
We are bringing all the true stories to the forefront. And guess what? This year, we're coming back bigger, better, and stronger. And it's all because of all of you.
So stay tuned for what we're going to do next. We are on all platforms at I Am Finding Love. And be sure to subscribe to our website at IamFindingLove.com.
And do not forget, tune in each and every Friday as you keep asking us questions and we keep delivering the answers.
Made me feel complete. It's OD, you got me.